Hey guys, I'm just gonna talk for this video, so, hi. Hi, this is me editing. I just realized that, I look really weird in this video, so if you guys are wondering why, it's because one of my eyebrows is short because I was trying to even it out and accidentally shaved it off, and my skin is, I don't know why it looks like that. I've just been on a really horrible, diet recently, so I'm not gonna apologize for how I look, but I just felt like I needed to make myself and the viewer aware of that, on baby, I don't usually look like this. I really dislike calling myself depressed because it's something that people have associated with this kind of self-indulgent, very almost welcoming way of sadness. And I think that accepting being upset is completely fine. It's something very healthy to do, to accept that you feel under the weather, you feel sad, you feel angry, you feel disappointed, you feel hopeless. But I think when anybody in general, it doesn't just apply when I say that, but when you tell somebody that you're depressed, most people automatically think that you're sad all the time, that you need everybody to watch over you, that you need constant reassurance. And the thing is, I very much don't like calling myself, saying that I'm depressed, just because of these reactions that people have to it, because it's become so normalized for people to be self-indulgent and to basically just sulk. Because I wouldn't consider myself somebody who does that. I think for me, the one way that I cope with my depression is to face it. You can't just pretend like everything's fine. And however, this is where I'm talking about the other side of the coin, is people who are very just they're like, I'm going to be sad forever, I'm going to be upset, I'm going to be miserable, there's no hope for me in life. And I feel like that's what comes to a lot of people's minds when you say I'm depressed, because it's a very annoying thing that I have to experience, because I talk to my friends about these things and they're like, well, it gets better, right? It's like, I know it gets better, because I just don't think that it's possible for me to be feeling under the weather all the time. And second of all, I'm 13. I'm not I'm not exactly going to be this way for the rest of my life unless there's something seriously wrong with me, which, surprisingly enough, based on my online activity, I actually doubt. I actually don't think there's anything seriously wrong with me, but I just don't like the kind of predisposed opinion that people have about people being depressed, because I think being depressed is not the same as being a sad person. Being a sad person is when you allow your feelings of sadness and hopelessness and shame and despair to essentially just envelop all aspects of your personality in your life. And it's something that's just where you're dwelling on something very depressing, sad. But I say I don't think it's fair to call people who are depressed that, or to associate them with that, because depression is not something that's people's fault. It's something that you can definitely put an effort to change or to improve, or it's something that you can make worse for yourself. But ultimately, I don't think people should be associating depression with people who are very self-indulgent in their feelings of hopelessness. And yeah, that's my first topic out of the way. I just really needed to talk about that. Okay, my second big topic is I really dislike the idea of people being upset that life has no inherent purpose. I'm somebody who thinks that we did not have any reason to be put on this earth. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That's where my opinion differs. I think that nobody having any real direction or predetermined purpose, I think that's the most beautiful thing there ever is. Free will is something that is given to us, I think, just because we are the way we are. We don't have primal instincts. We've evolved this way. And I don't think there's any reason for a lot of things that happen. I think that's just the way things have taken the course, they just are the way they are. And I don't like people who are constantly either they're making things out of nothing or they're making a big deal out of nothing. And I want to explain here. I'm going to explain the difference between those. People who are making things out of nothing is who are people who are just essentially like, coincidences all happen for a reason, or like, this happened for a reason, that happened for a reason. Okay, maybe it didn't, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. And the second one is people who make a big deal out of nothing, is people who are like, when they like, essentially when they discover for themselves that, oh, life doesn't have any meaning, and then they get really upset. But I think that's really, for me at least, okay, I don't, if you guys think this, it's whatever, fine, but I think it's stupid. Why would anybody think that it's a bad thing that humans don't have anything that they need to do in life? I that's a little like, that's kind of closed-minded to me, because it's like, you are put on this earth, you have nothing that you need to do before you die, no reason to stay alive but yourself. That's where that comes in. Nobody has any real reason, okay, according to me, nobody has any real reason to stay alive but their self and for their own intents and purposes. Everybody's like own life is only shaped by themselves, and you partially by their environment. There are things that you can't control, but I think like people, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to wake up and realize that there are so many things you are in control of. Like, I'm gonna give a good example, that I think it's a good example that a lot of like teenagers might not agree with, but you choose to go to school. Okay, I don't like that people are like, oh, I'm being forced to go. You're only being forced up to the point that you have to, like, some people be driven to the building, be dragged out of bed, you know, to be given more work. But you are the person who chooses, if you can, to pay attention. Okay, and I'm just gonna add like a side note here, because I know like some people have like learning disabilities, and I also personally like have attention deficit issues, so I have a hard time paying attention in school as well. But it's ultimately up to you to make the effort to do anything in life. It's like, oh, they're making me go to my job. I'm going to say this point blank, you could throw yourself off a bridge right now. You could kill somebody. You could do any of these things, and you choose to go to your job. And like, I feel like that's an amazing thing that no one really talks about. It's like, you're choosing to do these things. Like, pat yourself on the back. Like, you're doing something that you don't like even if like you don't want to do something, you're doing it maybe because it benefits you, because you want to make other people proud. And I know this is not always improving, but if you really look into it, like if you're, for example, if you're studying something and like it's very like difficult for you to keep on track or to pay attention or whatever, like you have no motivation, but you're still doing it. Like, isn't that amazing? I feel like nobody like really talks about that. Like, well, I'm only doing it because I have to. I feel like you need to give yourself more credit, because everyone has free will. You could do anything. You could realistically, in your like physical capability, you could do anything. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Even just getting out of bed in the morning, that's already like, you are choosing to do that. That's your decision. As far as your free will goes, you're like extremely more powerful than you think. And I'm gonna like give a little more insight onto the other side of that, is I think people also need to realize what they're not in control of. You can't control what other people say to you. You can't control what other people think. You can influence other people, but only to a certain extent. You don't have the big puppet strings that are, you know, playing on everyone's like emotions. It's like, that's okay. I think it's just something that people need to accept, is that you don't have control over everything, but you need to recognize the things you can control and what you can't control, and use that to your full advantage. Because it's like, you can't make the weather like warm and sunny, but you can decide to wear a raincoat if it's rainy. You can decide to, I don't know, like as far as your free will goes, like that's what you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about the things that you can't do. You don't worry about what other people think of you. Okay, and I'm not saying you don't, because I definitely do, and I'm just saying that it's not something you should worry about, because you can't change it. You could change your hair, you could start wearing different clothes, you could start wearing different makeup, you could listen to different music, you know, do better in school if you wanted to, like drop out. You could do whatever the hell you want, and the way that influences the way people think of you is really up to them. It's not up to you. And I'm a victim of this myself. I'm like, if I do this X, Y, and Z, people are gonna like me. That's not true. I'm really like, the way people perceive you is way, way more about them than you think. And a lot of them is also like predetermined. It's like, if you have like a way that you look, certainly, like, it's going to, honestly, okay, let's just be honest. If you are conventionally like really fucking ugly, people are going to view you differently. And I think like I'm not the best looking, so I think people definitely judge me for that. Like, and I think people have definitely also like, I've also had the other kind of privilege. Like, since I'm like, I would say I'm like so around average. So it's just like, bottom line from this, little sector is like, you do you. You don't do what anybody else is telling you to do. You think about what other people are telling you to do, and you think about, does that align with you? Is that going your way, or is it going in a way that's totally like crazy? And I just like, I feel like people are going to misinterpret this, but okay, I'm going to change my like final lesson here. My final takeaway from this part is like, recognize your free will and what you can do with it, but also recognize the things you can't change, and try to stop like letting them get to you so much, because that's something I also like have problems with, and I'm fixing, is just don't stress out too much, because there's some things you just can't change. And it's one of the most beautiful things you can do, and the most empowering things you can do. Just accept it. It is the way it is sometimes, and that's just how it's gonna be. Okay, and the last thing, I'm just gonna talk about me and just randomly stuff about like school. So I really like, I get frustrated a lot in school, because like I have to kind of like make myself stay on track, and it's kind of like tying into what I was talking about, like free will, is like, I kind of have to make like more, I don't want to say that I'm making more effort and that I'm working harder, because I really don't know what goes on in other people's heads, but I have to make a lot of effort, because I'm neurodivergent, and that affects like a lot of the things that go on in my head and how I process stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, it's frustrating, but I'm trying to learn how to accept it, and just how to get like past those things and how to deal with them. Like, I've been talking to a lot of my friends, like my therapist, about it, and I think ultimately the best thing I can just do for myself is ask for help. And this goes for anybody. Like, I have my whole life, I've asked for help, like average, maybe like, I'm gonna give an average like based on school year, maybe like 3 times a school year I've asked for help from a teacher, and that's not good, because I've needed help way more than 3 times. I think that's like one thing I'm working on this year. I'm gonna ask for help more, because I think a lot of it is kind of like ego problem. I'm kind of stubborn sometimes, so that's definitely something I'm gonna fix, because no one can go on like that. That's not a healthy way to live. And also, I really want to like do more outdoor stuff, because first of all, it's good for you. Like, you need to feel the air on your skin. You need sun exposure for health, but also just because like I think like nature's cool. Like, one of like my lifelong dream, one of them, like top 3 things I want to do ever, I really want to hike like Pacific Crest or Appalachian, probably the Appalachian, because it's shorter. I mean, I know it's like technically some people say it's harder, but the Pacific Crest is something that's like, it's too local. That's right up my alley. So, and I also really want to like learn about architecture. That's definitely not something I would want to study, or I would never want that to be my field of discipline. But oh my gosh, that would be just so cool to learn about. And whenever I'm out and about, like side questing or whatever, I always like, I'm like, dude, that's so like cool. Like, the way that these shapes like contrast each other, and color palettes and stuff like that, that's so freaking interesting. And I don't know, I just really like visual arts. Like, I love music, but it's definitely like, it is like 10 times harder than visual arts, because I don't know if this is like relevant, but I'm very much a visual learner. Like, I need things written down a lot. I need things like drawn out in diagrams. And I think visual arts is just such like, it's a fun, like, interesting, and for me, okay? For me, it's the easiest way to express myself ever. It's the easiest way for me to, like, be artistic, because music for me, it's just like, it's more like patterns based and coordination, and that's something I'm totally still working on, is like coordination and patterns, especially today when I was playing, like, I don't know, I was playing mallets for percussion, because we play that sometimes so we can just basically like learn more about music besides rhythm, because percussion instruments are mostly rhythm. And I was learning a part, and it was really interesting because my hands would just like mess up and they would go on the wrong notes, because my hands aren't like used to playing on an instrument that has notes, and like where you touch varies the sound that much, because, you know, I play snare drum, so if you play at the top it's going to be quieter, if you play in the middle, like play at the sides, whatever, playing on the rim, obviously it's going to sound different. But I don't know, I just think it's really interesting, and there's so many ways in my life that I need to in my mind, but I want to expand my horizons. Like, I'm literally like taking an ASL class right now. It's like just started, but it's so freaking interesting, because that kind of stuff is just so like foreign to me, because like when I was in the mental hospital, everybody there knew ASL, and it was just so like, it's so interesting to watch that, because I don't know how to do that. Apparently I knew that when I was younger, but not anymore. Okay, that's it. I feel like I've talked enough just for today, and I don't know how long this is going to take me to edit, so bye guys.